What is up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Breathe and Air podcast, where everyday action meets extraordinary mindset. Today, we have the founder and CEO of multiple companies. He's a serial entrepreneur, scientist, author of Neuroscience Calisthenics, athlete, public speaker, you name it. My guy, Jean Fallacara, the Cyborg. Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
That's the intro,
Hi,
baby.
everybody.
Let's go.
That's it. Yeah, no more. My head is going to explode.
For anyone that's been listening to the show, this was a lot of people's favorite episodes from a while back. I got so much good feedback, and we've stayed in contact over the last year or so now, and I'm so happy to have you back on.
I'm so happy to be here. We've been always in contact and seeing what we're doing from our sides. And, it's like that. We started by that podcast and we kind of became friends overall. Like I look at your life with your fiance, and Instagram helps a lot. So it's fun, it's thrill, and it's good actually, because a lot of things happen in a year.
Oh, hell, a lot. Yeah, I look back at all, the show's been going for 2 years now. So I look back at a lot of the guests that I've had the pleasure of talking to, and some people just stick out as far as, people that you continue to keep in contact with. And you've been one of those people. So, I always like watching the crazy things that you continue to come out with. And it's awesome to see, the growth over a year. Just so much can happen.
Thank you. Absolutely. We're always saying a year is not big. It's not that long, but look at it day after day and 365 days back. So much things, so much. So, you're always in the of your control of your present. You don't know what the future will be. That's the thing. We don't know. In a year, we don't even know where we're going to be.
Yeah. And it's always why I try and stay present, because I'm always thinking about what can I do next? Like, how can I be better here? How can I be better here? But I mean, this is the only moment that we really have. You have to think of it that way. Got to remind myself that a lot.
Yeah. So true.
So what has been new in your world? What's some things that you've been working on, or some stuff that you're really excited about?
Oh my God. A year ago, so I took over the magazine Biohackers Update. We renamed it and rebranded it to Biohackers Magazine. And we're getting really great success. Our next issue as Ben Greenfield on the cover with a special interview. Yeah, so we have been, and it was actually it was 1 year yesterday that I took over the magazine. So that one. The second, I sold my company as well, my biotech company.
Did you really? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like, I've been in merger acquisition for a long time, but that was the achievement of my life, because this Z Sciences Corporation is one of my oldest corporation, and in the biotech business, it's kind of a long process to go through merger acquisition. And it was somehow not expected that much. So it turns out that I had to go back a bit on the business side and not spend that much time doing my calisthenics stuff and things like that. But, life is exciting. It's just like you put yourself in a position where you have to get to those new challenges again, to put your brain in a phase where you have to think back in a way that you're not always used to. And I love it. Change is good. It's fantastic. It's scary, but it's good.
Yeah, that's the only way that we really progress.
I guess so.
Yeah. I think about it a lot, because this last year too brought a lot of change for me. I took a new position. I moved to a new state. So now I'm in Nashville. I know last time we talked, I was in Arkansas. And so with that comes so much new experiences, so many new challenges, fears that you have to overcome, and doubts and those kinds of things. So it's really important, I think, for everyone to realize that it's against our human nature to want to walk into those situations.
True.
because of our fight or flight, right? We
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
stay away from those things, but it's in
yeah.
those moments where we grow, and it's
Yeah,
a beautiful thing.
I agree on that. And how's your life? So you've been filled up with doubt and things
Yeah.
like anxiety is
Yeah.
growing as well. So how did you manage that?
So I actually had this weird realization the other day that when I started gaining awareness of myself and my
Mm,
thoughts and my surroundings and my potential, ultimately, I gained a little anxiety with it, because I was like, how can I be at peace with myself if I know that I am not living up to my full potential? And so it was a weird thing. I was like, I gained this awareness thing and it's so good. But with that came this challenge of anxiety, knowing that I have to make sure that I live up to what I know I'm capable of. So I think that's a good message for a lot of people to realize, that when you get good things, there's going to be challenges that come with it, right? And those are
yeah,
things you're going to have to
absolutely.
continue to overcome.
Yeah, achievement are not made like on a position or on a couch, sleeping there and waiting for some things to happen. You have to go after it. Of course, I totally get what you meant. My corporation has been acquired on October 7th, so it's been like 100 days.
Yep.
The famous 100 days,
Yeah.
and when I got my daughter 17 years ago on January 16, 2005, before that, I couldn't sleep. I was insomniac. I was not sleeping more than 2-3 hours a day. But I got my daughter and I slept like a baby for 17 years, except the last 3 months. I'm back at not sleeping. Anxiety is all around the place. I'm just like, oh my God, this is challenging. And it's a lot of work. uh, People say responsibilities, but it's not responsibilities. This is what you're meant to do. Like you're on a mission, and if you take it, you have to go all the way. You cannot step back and say, okay, I'll turn back and I don't care anymore. It's just like you take the challenge and you go for it. So
Yep.
that is what is creating anxiety. But 100 days, I'm starting to sleep again.
Yes. And I think that's so important for people to hear too, because he's being humble, but very successful entrepreneur and very, very experienced in biohacking, in these innate tools that we have to deal with stress, to deal with anxiety. And it's like, okay, we learn these things, but they're all just tools. And at the end of the
It's
day,
true.
there is no specific cure for life. Like, life is going to be life. These are just
That's
tools
it.
that we have to help us.
Yeah, that is so true. We always forget those simple things that we call now biohack. But yesterday I was on LinkedIn and I was scrolling down and I saw a post from Andy Huberman. 5 tips, 5 simple things, sunlight in the morning and things like that. And I was just like, gosh, if people only knew that those few tips would change the world, will change the health system, the healthcare system will change everyone on this planet. Most of the time you go to people and you say, hey, you know what, you don't feel right in the morning or you don't sleep very well. Why don't you go outside in the morning and just take some sunlight? No, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
Things
exactly.
like that are so simple, but as biohackers, it's true. We're using them on a regular basis and they became so natural. Uh, this is a short story.
Yeah.
We went, we were in Miami 2 weeks ago. Free for all in Miami, no mask, no,
Yeah.
it's crazy sick. We
Yeah.
came back fine. We had to test ourselves because crossing the border, you
Yep.
need to be negative. So we were negative. We came back. My daughter's boyfriend had COVID. My daughter got COVID. My wife got COVID. I probably got COVID. But this is it. You can do whatever you want. You have to go through these things. And I was just like, my wife goes like, oh, I feel so tired today. And I go like, why don't you go take a cold shower? And she knows me. She goes like, I'm sick, I'm cold, and I'm always sniffing. I'm not going to take a cold shower.
Yeah, that's so funny. You know, it's funny you say that too, because I had on here with that in mind, like, what are some things that you've done or in the biohacking community that you've learned that help immunity? Cold showers being one of those things, but it's like so tough sometimes. I've done it for a long time, and I'm still days I'm just sitting there in the shower. I'm like, I don't want to turn this to cold. Like, I don't want to. I know how good I'll feel like 3-5 minutes after, but I don't want to do it. And there's times I don't. Full disclosure, guys. Nobody's perfect here. But I know that once again, I guess it's a common theme here. On the backside of that little bit of discomfort are all these benefits.
Yeah, it's true. But I felt that obviously in the winter, it's harder to get into cold shower and cold exposure. In the summer, you don't care. You're always warm and hot. But in the winter, and we have crazy temperature this time in Canada, so I find it hard too. And sometimes instead of staying 3-4 minutes, I'm gonna skip it to 10 seconds and go out and just like, okay, it's done.
You could check it off the list. You could say at least you did it. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we're human. That's the point, and that's at least, I think what is good is just keeping it in mind and trying.
Yeah.
You don't feel it? Okay, don't force too much yourself. It's not necessary. It's always good to create some resistance and some resilience, but not to the extreme of your mental health, I guess.
Yes, it's almost like I heard the story of, the guy who's trying to open this door so hard it's not opening. He's kicking it, it's kicking and not opening, and then he goes to the door right next to it and it just pops right open, right? And it's like, oh, I could have just done that. But sometimes we put the blinders on and we get stuck on one thing when the solution is right next to it. We just have to take a step back.
It's true. I agree on that. But we're going through it. That's the point. And biohacking is one of the thing that helps a lot of people on this planet. But how can we get the message to the people that are not listening? This is a great question we have at the magazine. We're trying to spread the words and the vibes and making some sort of unification between the science community and the biohacking community. But it's hard because it still is a very close circle. How can you extend it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think even now, more so than ever, people need to hear that message of biohacking and the innate tools that we all have as humans in our biology. Everyone wants to say science, science, science. Like, this is the science, guys. Like, this is not,
basic.
like this is
basic
proven.
Science.
Yeah. And that's part of the struggle, making sure that people hear your message and that they get, it's a world of attention these days,
Well, social media helps, of course, but since you have a lot of things that are veiculed on social media, true or fake, building confidence and making sure that people understand what is true and what is not, it's a tough job because another things, not that I'm bored, but yesterday, I was not working. It's Sunday. I was on Instagram and I was scrolling and I go, I'm going to check what biohacking, the hashtag gets. So I looked at several pages using the hashtag biohackers or biohacking. But I would say that 40% of what is there, it's not even accurate. That's a big problem.
Yep. Yeah. And it's the beauty and the pain of the internet, right? Because there is so much information at our fingertips, but you really have to sift through what is actually accurate and what isn't. And sometimes that's hard to tell.
True. I agree on that.
What are some of the best sources? The magazine, obviously, your book, which I want you to tell us about here in a little bit, but what are some of your other external sources where you go for truth within biohacking?
Oh, you know what? I'm going to give my secret, but the neuroscience news is the best tool I use to get information, because everything is based on neuroscience reaction in our body. So when you get to the source on what are the recent publication, you transpose them to the day-to-day life, you get what we should call biohacking, tips and tricks that helps you to get better, to get a better mental health, better equilibrium, better overall health, and improve your markers and everything. So this is where I'm getting my my information, and my most of my knowledge, I would say, is coming from there. I'm trying to stay away from preachers that are around. There's many. I listen to them, but I don't go against or poor or for. I'm just listening to them. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a wise thing to do sometimes, right? Not everyone needs our opinions, but I want you to tell me more about your book, because I think this is important, that people need to know the power of this. And you are very known for mixing the science of neuroscience and how our brain works, and calisthenics as well. So tell me a little bit about your book and kind of how you got into that realm of calisthenics.
Okay. You really want me to talk about my book?
I want it. I want it.
Okay. I'm going to be straightforward and really frank. That was my first book. When I was working on it, it was a COVID situation. The business was pretty slow, so I had more time, and I did put it in a way that it was a transposition of neuroscience and biohacking tips into sports. The sport I do, calisthenics, gymnastic in general.
Yep.
When I read it a year later, I think it's not good.
Oh, come on. You're being hard on yourself.
No, honestly, it's not that I'm a perfectionist, but it's just like, it's too basic to be used the way that it should be used. And I think that I need to write another one that go way deeper into the neuroscience concept and precept. My book, the first chapters are about neuroscience, but when you read them and you're not a scientist, you just get bored because there's too many information on that. And the following chapters are too much into biohacking. And I think that the equilibrium should have been to mix a bit, to give just a bit of information like a professor would do in science, and to attract people to read more about the sport that is exciting for many people. Fitness industry is very exciting for many people around us. So maybe I have to redo a book in another shape, in another way. And it's probably some things that I want to do. And if you look at my Instagram page, I would say that my Instagram page would probably be a better book than my previous book.
There's so much good stuff. But what I heard you just doing there was basically, you did something, you went for it, you did it. And now you're like, okay, if I came back and did this again, this is how I would do it. You would never have known that, though, if you didn't write the book. Most people get stuck in the first idea of, oh, I want to write a book, or I want to start a business. And then.
And they don't do it, or they never. That's it. This is the thing. And this is something that everyone should learn in business. You have an idea, you have a concept, start it, and improvisation is the key of realization. You go for it, and you don't know. Just take the opportunity to get into it and do it. After all, you're going to go back and say, damn, no, I shouldn't have done that. But next time I know that I'm going to do it better, instead of, okay, I'm going to wait until it's perfect, and then I'm going to release my book, or I'm going to start my business when everything is set up, a plan, a business plan, finance, and everything. Never. Start a business tomorrow. You don't have finance, find them in the run. Don't get stuck for that. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is. I'll take the guy who's going to send it 10 times in a week versus a guy who's going to plan for 2 weeks and send it once in a month.
That's so true. That is so true.
Yeah.
That is so true. That's why my things was called No Plan B. I think life is like that. You never have to have a plan B. You just have to go for everything you go. Mason, selling my company was a freaking challenge in my life because I had to divest a company to get there. And this is one of the hardest things you have to do in your life because you get people angry at what you're doing. You have partners that I got sued. I got to the point that people tried to put me bankrupt because I was divesting that company. So you go through those challenging situation, but my daughter goes like, Dad, what you're gonna do? Because super dangerous. If your plan doesn't work, we're dead. And I go, and she goes like, what is the next thing? What is your other plan? I go, there is no plan B.
There's no other plan.
Has to work. Point.
Yep.
Life is like that for everything. It can be business, but it can be your relationship. It can be your life. It can be your health. You have to go for it. Point.
You spoke about, this period that you went through recently where, you weren't sleeping as much and you're back. There's stress that's involved in this. And I think a lot of people, entrepreneurs in general, would feel this type of way before. There's a lot of pressure that comes with it. And how do we balance, or what are some things, no one's perfect in this, obviously, but what are some ways that you in your career have balanced this entrepreneurship mindset and growing and building and constantly wanting to get better and grow, and then the health side of things as well? Because I know those are two very important things in your life.
Yes.
And sometimes, most of the time, they don't go together.
No, it's true, because most of the time what I see around me, and even I've got trapped into it in the first 100 days in this company, I was training less because I was putting more priority in the achievement of those 100 days that I had the mission to accomplish. But you have to step back and keep doing what was working for you before. And what was working for me before was fairly simple, is balance, is about balance. I was working efficiently, following my ultradian rhythm, those 90 minutes of hyper focus that you can get 2 or 3 times a day. I was just working that way. I was always using my biohacking techniques, sunlight in the morning, cold shower, sauna, and all these things. But sports has always been balancing my life. And if you neglect, and I've done that for a couple of days, and the result was I was more stressed and not sleeping. Sport was an important factor for me to balance my professional life, and it still is. So I rebalanced, putting my priority in my sport. Even if I changed the time I was working out, I still have to get my an hour and a half or 2 hours of sports per day.
Yeah.
The second thing is art, paintings. You see behind me, I'm a fanatic of art, and it's like meditation for me. I can have my glass of wine and spend an hour in front of a painting, just cleaning up my mind. Looking at that. And if you combine those things, you get on track. You get simply on track. And, remember, there's things you cannot control. If you spend your time trying to forecast those things that you don't control, you're going nowhere.
Yeah.
Point. And we humans have this superpower. We always think about things that will never happen. We have that power, and we use it in the wrong way. We should never. We started by that sentence. We have to live today. It's today that we control.
Yep.
This moment. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody has those certain things that help them, those things that
Mhm.
they get totally locked into, that flow state per se, where, you said you looked at the painting and your mind cleans up, and art
Yeah.
is something, where you can totally feel relaxed. And training, definitely one for me as well. It's a place where I can go and know that I'm doing something healthy for myself. I feel great, but I also just love it. Like, I love being in there and seeing the results that compound
Right.
interest has when you train like
Yeah.
that. I'm really intrigued on, and we've spoke a little bit about this on the last one. If you guys haven't, go check out the last episode. I think it's somewhere in the 40s. But the flow state that you get when you put your music in, you're listening to some trance music and you're doing your calisthenics and you're in your sport, you're in your zone.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, being in the zone, the flow state is something that I've been chasing my whole life. And matter of fact, with ADHD, because now you cannot say ADD anymore. It looks
Yeah.
like you're from the 60s. So ADHD, okay, I'm a modern guy.
Yeah.
ADHD helps because we have this potential of when we get into something, we put our minds so sharp that nothing is important. The time is not important. Your mind is just there and it goes the way it is. But transposing that, I was able to transpose that hyper focus into my work as businessman, putting learning the way that you have to learn and implementing some techniques to learn, being on phase and in the zone for that. But in sports, it's even more important because this is where you get the performance, and you know that perfectly. If you get into that zone, and for me, it's simple. Getting in the zone is a preparation. I start by meditation. I start by deep breathing and breathing techniques. After warm up, and my music plays a lot, of course. Yes,
Yeah.
trance music, yeah, orchestral trance music. It has to be orchestral transposed into trance music. But this is where you accomplish so much. Most people are training for training. They're talking to others. They're looking at their phone. They have Instagram on, and they're taking stories during their workout. I don't do that. My phone can be around for taking videos once in a while, and I would post stories and stuff like that later. But during the time I'm training, nah, don't get distracted by anything. And the problem is, like, sometimes I can be antisocial because of that, because I don't like to train with too many people around. They're just disturbing me.
That's how I feel. I saw someone post the other day, like, would you rather be do you like the crowded gym or do you like the empty gym? For me, it's like empty all day. Like,
Oh yeah.
if
Oh yeah.
nobody's in there, I'd be like, oh, I'm in heaven.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So much. I was on the beach of Miami 2 weeks ago, and it was like really happiness to the top, because you have that sunlight going up in the morning, the sunrise. You have those waves, and for the rare time of my life, I'm not using techno music or trance music. Is when I'm in front of the ocean. Those vibrations, those waves, they have an effect that is even better. And it's just like,
Yes.
and it was empty in the morning. So that was awesome. Yeah. And you can do a lot. You can do a lot.
Yes. I'm going to Miami at the end of this month, actually. So I'm very excited. It's been cold here. We got some snow the last couple of weeks, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to just lay on the beach and listen to the waves, just like
yeah.
I'm very excited for that. But there is something about the water. I've always been drawn to it, and especially the ocean. It is like that magnetic pull that makes you feel some type of way. It's pretty crazy.
Dr. Porter, brain tap. was explaining that because of the oscillation of the ocean, they're very close to our brain waves as well. So they put you most of the time. They put you on the same sequence as I think is the theta waves that are mainly reproduced by the ocean. We have to check on that point, but I think that those are the ones, and so that's why we feel that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. I really have started liking to listen to binaural beats before I go to bed.
Yeah.
Going from like alpha, so like read a little bit before bed, alpha, and then it'll go into theta, which is like a deeper meditative state. That's where you're really sleeping. But I really like that.
Yeah, which one do you use? You use an application?
Yeah, there's just on Spotify, there's a binaural beats under meditation. It's just it says binaural beats, and it's a big list of alpha into theta.
Yeah, I have well, I'm using this one, the brain tap, which is both actually, but what I do like with the brain tap too is this. Look, you have lights.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's
I haven't seen that. That is sweet. What is that?
This is crazy sick because you have light stimulation so in your ear, but you have light stimulation even if your eyes are closed. So you have binaural beats, sounds transposed from one to the other, and some vibration made by the waves of the light. So we always say that you shouldn't use light before going to sleep, but those light doesn't affect your circadian rhythm. And honestly, this is crazy. This is, I'll put these for 30 minutes and I sleep.
Yeah, that is sweet. I need to. Yeah. What's the company? What is it like?
So brain tap, from and it's Dr. Porter. And this is honestly one of the best things. I was using let me check the name. I was working with these guys, Endel, ENDEL, Endel Sound. They do the sound in planes and for Mercedes, I think, and BMW and things like that. Beautiful artificial intelligence based binaural sounds. So when I'm traveling and I don't have my brain tap sometimes because I go just on carry on, I'm going to use Endel Sounds. It's a perfect application for that. I think putting it further to that, there is now some magnetic patches that are coming, helping you. So I don't know where the future is going on these things, but I'm very anxious to see what's next.
Yeah, it is quite crazy, the revolution of technology that's been happening recently. I think COVID really pushed that forward, but it was going to happen regardless. And now it's just coming a little bit faster. But it is exciting. I mean,
it is.
I remember I put one of those Oculus Rift, the VRs on a while back.
Yeah.
And it had been out for a while. So it was like a second or third generation. And I had never used them before, but my buddy's like, dude, you have to put it on. You have to put it on. I'm like, all right, I'll try it. Yeah. I was mind blown. I was like, this is crazy.
And metaverse is coming. So when you look at what metaverse, artificial intelligence, binaural sounds, and all these things combine, the future seems to me very bright for brain optimization in a way or the other. Like human interface with computer will probably help to get better, to be better humans. Where are we going to stop? I don't know, but it is interesting. It is interesting to see where we're going, and I'm really a big fan of everything related to artificial intelligence. I think that it's the future of tomorrow. It's the future. And tomorrow we're going to talk about that, and it's going to be like so much around us, and it's just going to help us to improve our lives.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. It's everything great can be used in a way that it's not great, right? So I think it's going to be up to the user to be able to just like our phones now. I mean, think about how amazing of a tool this is, that we get to talk to each other in Tennessee and Canada, and that we get to connect all over the globe. Now, if you're using it too much and you're using it hour, like right before you go to bed, like, or you're, you know, getting lost
it goes
in
against
all these other things, right? It can be detrimental, but in the end, it is a incredible tool. And that's kind of how I look at it with technology in the future as well.
Yeah, I agree on that. Allow me to jump back on the Oculus you were talking about. You know what? I was training calisthenics with Oculus on.
Really?
On,
I think I saw you.
Well, and the first time I tried was like probably 3 years ago. I was watching like space movement in 3D, like totally putting your brain in a position where you lose control of your environment. Proprioception is gone. It's not existing. And I was trying to do my move at the same time. That increased your neural connection to a point that is extreme. And then I used it. So I was using it the first time inside where it was safe and everything. But the second time, and I did a post on Instagram on that, I was using it outside on almost freestyle. So on a bar that was outside and trying to do stuff with the Oculus on me. That is really, really a trail.
Yeah, I bet it is, because it's almost, you're doing such a physical activity, but you don't have sensory, like visual sensory.
You don't,
what you're doing. So you have to be so in tune with your body.
Absolutely. That's what I was saying, proprioception, to a point where you have to be in a phase that is flow state. Otherwise, you can't do it. Like you cannot talk to somebody, then put your Oculus and go do your move. You're just going to screw it up to the point where you're going to break something. Neck or arms or whatsoever. But if you're in flow, and this is the beauty of being in flow in sport, is you don't need to see what you're doing. It's being done naturally. It's your brain putting everything it has in memories and just putting you in the path that you're executing the movement as it was part of you.
Yeah. How did you get into this world of calisthenics, this sport? What led you to it?
Because again, I would give credit to ADHD again. I was lifting weight and I was running and doing those stuff that everybody's doing, and I get bored very easily because of that. And I got really bored with lifting weight. I was just like, damn, this is like one set. Okay, tomorrow it's going to be chest. The day after it's going to be leg. The day after. And you get bored. Calisthenics, I don't have a program. I do whatever I want. I go, tomorrow I'm going to do this. I go with the flow. And it's always like changing stuff. So I got into calisthenics because one day I was lifting weight with a trainer and a young guy. He was a former guy of Bar Stars from New York, those street athletes. And he came in the gym, he jumped on the bar and he went on front lever. I was just like, what the? And I told my trainer, how is doing this? And he was like, that's like street workout, but you're way too old. You're not going to make it. It's impossible. And start on join and things like that. And I go like, you bet? Okay. Tomorrow I'm not lifting anymore. That's it. And I started the day after. I stopped lifting weight and I just said, I'm going to go for it. Of course, it takes some time, it takes effort, but if you put the passion into it, it's easy.
Isn't it weird how when someone gives you like, oh, you can't do that, it's almost, oh, really? Yeah? Okay, we'll see about that.
Don't challenge me. That's the worst thing you can do.
Exactly.
And that's probably, this is like the story of my life, because I've been doing stuff very risky because people were challenging me, and I may look very dumb saying that, but it is true, and I have to admit, when people were saying that, yeah, you're not capable of jumping from that bridge in the river. Oh, you bet? Yeah, I'll do it. You know, like
I've been there.
people, but
Definitely been there.
that's okay.
It's interesting. You know, as I'm listening to you, that you draw a lot of these things back to ADHD. It could almost be something that so many people look down on. And it reminds me too of I was reading one of your posts, and you were talking about doodling and fidgeting and how it was good for cognitive focus.
Yes.
And I'm sitting here as I'm reading your post, I'm like, my foot's like twitching. I'm like, oh, this is me. This is me. I'm like, maybe it's not that bad that I fidget. You know, my mom used to just put her hand on my knee under the table because I would just be like tapping my foot.
But it's good, actually. It is a good thing. First, you know what? It is a good thing for focus. But the second is like, it's a calorie burner. So crazy.
Yeah.
The number of calories you burn by doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Movement is just the biggest thing. I think there's so much of a sedentary lifestyle that so many Americans have, and around the world, really. I mean, it's movement, even just taking a walk, you know, after your meal at lunch, or if you can, like the way that hybrid workforce is now, so many of us have more freedoms to be able to do those things throughout the day. And every time I do, boost my mood, boost my energy, I feel better. I mean, it makes a world of a difference.
Yeah, you have to get out your environment of work at least every 45 minutes. But look at this. I'm not using any chair. So, you know, I'm now in a corporate structure where we have those Zooms and those slide presentation that I was absolutely not used to do.
Yep.
And my desk is an adjustable desk as well. You can see.
Yeah, mine can.
That's it. So when we have those meetings, I'm standing up. And
actually,
last time, one of the guy goes like, and one guy goes like, hey, you don't have any chair? And I go like, well, this is my chair. I don't have any chair because if you sit down, it's just like it's not working. You're getting like everybody's getting, like not making any movement, and it's not good. It's perfect. So I you know what? I would have bet that you had one like that.
I'll tell you, because I wasn't used to working at home as much as I do now. And so when I got this desk, it was a game changer for me. I highly suggest anyone that works at home, get a sit-stand desk at least. If you can't have a sit-stand desk, you still need to get a sit-stand desk.
Yeah, I mean, if you cannot
you just
make it happen.
Yeah. Like it made a huge difference too in productivity, my back. I mean, if you sit down all day, it's not good for your back either. So I mean, it's definitely a big thing. What I was looking also, like you said, you got to check out the Instagram because it could be a book at Cyborg Gains with a Z at the end.
Yes.
Go follow him. Go check out the stuff. It's incredible. But I was looking at it and I saw that you got to speak with a retired Navy SEAL, Mark Devine, and he spoke about the 4 pillars.
Yeah, I love that guy. You know what? Incredible. We became really good friend just because his mindset, and the story is funny. Mark Devine used to be called the Cyborg.
Look at that.
Yeah. So one day I received an email, the story of the cyborg, and I go like, hey, there's only one cyborg. It's me.
Exactly.
And then I got like, I took his post and I go like, Mark, I'm sorry, but there is only one cyborg and it's me. So it started like 3 years ago. And a year ago, I go like, hey, come on, let's have a discussion. But, you know, where this guy is coming from, I think this is an example for whole society. I've never seen somebody so humble, but so powerful. This mindset of warrior that he has from the Japanese culture, I would say, martial art and things like that, implemented in the day-to-day life and in his business, because he's a successful businessman as well. We should all take example of that guy. You should have him on your podcast.
I would love to have him. I would love to have him. I want to say these because I think they're so good. On your post about him, he talked about the 4 pillars of mental toughness, which was micro goal setting, visualization and imagery, self-talk and positivity, and breath control. And I was like, man, this is coming from the baddest MFer out there. Like, this is Navy SEALs. Like, and they have those 4 in there, and it's just eye-opening, and it's great to see. But what you said, the humble ones are the ones you got to watch out for. Usually the ones talking too much they're nothing.
That's it. That's what I think when I was talking about the preachers. That's the thing. Mark is somebody that I have so much respect. He's not a preacher. He's saying fact in a manner that are simple and accessible. Mm-hmm. Too many people are trying to be too complicated. That's the problem.
It is pretty simple at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah. Einstein was saying, if you cannot explain it simply, you didn't get it. You didn't understand it.
It's very true. It's very true. Yeah. I've heard you speak on this topic of meta learning. Mm-hmm. What is meta learning? I think it would be really cool to hear.
Yeah, meta learning is the learning of learning. So most people are going to say, I'm going to learn to do that. I'm going to learn a language. I'm going to learn mathematics or whatsoever. But before you start doing anything in learning, if you want to have memory acquisition and retaining the information that you're getting and gathering, you need to know how to do it. You need to know how to learn, the process of learning, implementing some techniques, implementing the way that you're going to start the process and you're going to end it up. When you master that, Jim Quick is one of the best examples of meta learning. It's all around that, actually. When you get to that point, you learn faster than anyone.
Mm. The art of learning, the learning how to learn. I love that. It's when I first heard of it, I'm like, whoa, this is crazy, but it makes sense because I think it goes back to that. If you have systems and processes in place that you can play in. I had a guy on the other day that talked about, setting creative boundaries almost so that you can play within this avenue, right? It's like, this is kind of how you're structuring things. Right. And you can funnel all your creative energy into this construct versus trying to create the construct while you're having an idea, while you're doing this and that. And then it just gets all crazy.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. You got to kind of feel those things out though, to see how you work best.
Yeah. And people need some sort of structure to get to efficiency, because when you don't get the structure, and look at kids at school, there's kids that they can do whatever. They're not going to be able to learn it because they don't have the proper techniques to learn. Put the system in place that is accessible for each, and it's different for everybody. Of course, there's general system and tracks, but it's different and it has to be adapted for each and every one. But put the right system in place. You want to learn how to do handstand, you want to learn to do planche, you're going to learn it faster than anyone. You want to learn a language, Korean, Japanese, mathematics, whatever, same thing. You put the structure first, then go for it. It's going to be simple and easy.
One of the biggest things I feel like has helped me with that too is making sure that I have visual cues around me as well, like to stay on the right path and kind of like priming your subconscious. And I know that you liked speaking on the subconscious mind with meditation and things as well. What have been some ways that have really helped you get your subconscious mind right for success?
Right. For success or for achievement in sport or in life, yes. Our brain processes millions of information every seconds, but only a part of it gets to your conscience. And most of them, they go like no filter. They're there, noise around and things like that. If you learn to open up your mind, your consciousness to what you want to see, to hear, and what is important for you, we're in the phase of learning some things or doing a job or performing or whatsoever. There is tricks, there is couple of tricks. Put your attention, and it's all related to self-awareness, of course. Okay, first you need to know where you stand, what you hear, who you are, and how you feel, you think, and everything, and you breathe too, and feel every single up and down heartbeat and things like that. But then you have to choose a couple of spots that will trigger your brain to put a focus on. And for me, when I do sports, for example, I choose one spot. I put my focus on just one single. And I remember I was in the middle of the wood. We were doing a training, and a guy goes like, "Oh, how'd you do to get your focus on?" And I go like, "Oh, I put a rock in the middle, and I put my eyes on it, and I fixed the rock." Everybody was laughing. They were like, "Is the guy that puts rocks in the middle of the street to get focus?" But matter of fact, it works, because if you fix that rock, people around laughing, for example, have no importance. You're there, you're doing the move, you're there, and you're the only one doing it because you have the focus. You're just putting your focus, and all the rest of the information, they just go over the non-processed information. And it's the same for business. When you get a mission on business, you get a lot of information. You have to deal with financial, you have to deal with marketing, you have to deal with sales, you have to deal with clients, supplier, custom, whatsoever. One chunk at the time, you go, you put your focus on one thing, you do it, then you go to the next one. And it's always the same process. After all, we seem to be very complicated, but we're simple. We're very basic machineries, and we don't require complexity to, of course, our brain is complex, but we don't require complexity in the processing steps. We just need to keep everything simple.
Yep. I think that's important, because we do have so many. I liked how you said like everything just, because I think about you do have a certain focus on thoughts and things that you point your focus to and that you allow to come into your life. So you do have control over that at certain things, your input that you have on social media, the friends that you surround yourself with, your surroundings, your environment. One of the big things for me that's helped too is being able to write in a journal and be able to get those thoughts out and kind of almost look at them from a third party perspective. And have you ever messed with journaling at all? Has that helped you?
Yeah, it's apparently is one of the best things for the brain to do. I have to admit that I don't do it much. First, because I have a writing that is so awful that even myself cannot read it back. So I have an excuse on that.
That's funny.
And it is actually a true fact.
Yeah. Chicken scratch. Dr. Writing.
Oh, yeah, totally. To the point that it became a complex when I was at school at the age of 12 or 13. My writing was so bad that I've decided to put everything on capital to make people able to read what I was writing. Yeah. So everybody's always laughing when I take notes or I give notes to somebody else. Like, what I'm going to do with that? I can't read it. So I'm not doing journaling because of that, and I don't want to have my computer to type on it.
it's funny because I've talked to a lot of successful people who have had one thing or another, whether it's dyslexia, not having good handwriting, someone who had a speech impediment and now is a speaker and stuff like these things, these, I guess, constructs that people can put us in sometimes. And then they do the totally opposite. It is a testament to how powerful our minds, our bodies, our biology really is, that we can break out of those constructs.
It's true. Today, when you look at it, our society will consider most of the advanced, intelligent people with spectrum of autism or Asperger or things like that. They're just like borderline Asperger or autist, or because when your mind goes like sparkling so much, and you're going to put attention to things that are not important for many people, they're going like, oh God. Or like being antisocial in a community of sport. Damn, you're almost Asperger.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's our society putting judgment.
Exactly.
Because sorry, Mason, but I think that our society needs to put people into drawers, like categories. You have to be in a category of this, so I can understand you and I can probably manipulate you. But punk are not dead.
Yeah, how can I market to you if I don't know what category you're in?
That's it.
Oh, it's so funny. It is funny how polarizing the world has become in certain aspects, or how they're painting it to be. Because to me, most people don't have these polarizing viewpoints when I'm having normal conversations. But it seems like sometimes, fear and hate and resentment and all of these things that people and media knows is going to get a rise out of us, they use to our demise. They use our biology against us instead of for us.
Yeah.
That's like the exact opposite of what we're talking about with biohacking.
It's true. At the end of the day, when you think about it, people that are most respected are people that are saying the truth. Not pleasing others, because it doesn't work.
Yep. It's very true. You have been noted as a top 10 entrepreneur to follow by the LA Weekly. You've been noted as a top. All right, you ready for your head? It's going to get a little bigger. Top motivational influencer on Instagram and a top 10 athlete Instagram influencer in Montreal. How have you grown such a, exponential following? And also just, it always seems that there's so much engagement with what you're doing and people are drawn to what you're doing in the biohacking community as well. So what are some things that you've done, or what have you seen that's worked that's helped you build such a strong community?
Here's a secret for you, Mason, and for everybody's listening. I was meant to be a guru. Simple as that.
Simple. It's true. It is definitely a gift.
When I was when I was young, people were just like, damn, every time you go somewhere, people are around you and listening to what you're saying. And I'm like, maybe I should do my business around that. I should motivate people and get money from it. But it didn't work that way. So I'm always joking on that. And I was really, I think I was really meant to be a guru. I don't know. I have this inner, I wouldn't call it a talent, but capability of, if when I talk, people are listening for a reason. And maybe it's the way that I'm talking to people, they like it. I don't know. So it's cool. I didn't use it properly, I guess, in my life, because I should have really made my living out of it. I missed it. But my Instagram came the same way. I was doing, posting my day-to-day life. And then I said, damn, this is boring again. I got bored and I go like, I'm going to tell people something's interesting. And if they like it, they're going to follow me. If they don't like it, they're just going to go away. Yeah. And it started like that. And from 8,000 followers, I ramped up to 30, 40. 100, 150, 250, and my engagement rate went up.
Yep.
People were asking me questions, messaging me, and I think that the engagement rate goes hands to hand with people interacting not only on directly on your post, but also on messaging and on stories. So people were asking me questions, and I got kids really addicted to what I was saying. And some people, I remember a message from a guy, Alexander, and he was writing me and he was like, I'm choosing my school because I'm following you on Instagram and I want to study neuroscience and sport together. I want to change the world that way.
Amazing.
What is more beautiful than that? So then it goes naturally, and my engagement rate went up. So I got there is this company doing charts about who's having the highest engagement rate compared to the number of posts and followers and whatsoever, and they named me top motivational speaker. And actually, I didn't even know that I was there. And somebody sent me the link and he was like, hey, did you know that you're number 5 there? And I go like, what?
That's the beauty. That's the beauty.
Yeah. So
You spoke about, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think this is it, in life, when you do some things with passion, it's always good. When you do some things for some things, like you are expecting some things in return, it doesn't work. Look at the number of people on Instagram, for example, chasing the clouds, trying to do stupid thing, jumping from a bridge into a river. We're talking about it. And putting that on video for the fame, just for the fame. But those guys, they never go up. Well, if I had big boobs and nice lips, and if I was blonde, maybe it would be easier for me to have 1 million followers, but I'm not. So I'll do it with science.
Just a little off.
Yeah, not yet, I would say. Surgery can help.
Yeah, exactly. That's so funny. You spoke about, I could almost see like what it meant to you when you said Alexander reached out to you and said these things, because it made you feel like you made an impact. And I know I've had that feeling too, when someone, comments on the show or something that I said, and they're like, man, this really made an impact. That's one of the best feelings in the world. Like money can't buy that, nothing. No. And that's why we do this at the end of the day. To me, that is one of the most satisfying feelings ever.
Yeah, the bringing some things to our world, and it can be, it can sound cheesy, but it's not. But I truly believe that next generation is going to change this world. And if next generation is inspired by what you're doing, then you made it. Then your journey on this planet was something good. If at the end of the day you end up and you didn't leave any track and you didn't inspire anyone, and more specifically those kids, do something else. I think it's important, and I have so much respect for the kids after us. And I wish, my big wish is, when I turn 75, I'm going to be with the same drive and passion for these kids, and not like the whole generation that I've met when I was a kid saying, you punks, you're a kid, you don't know anything. In my age.
Back in my day.
Yeah, back my day. I don't want to be like that. I think that these kids have way more potential than we had. You have way more potential than I have, because I'm older than you, and the kids after you are way more potential. And this is the beauty of our world. So what you learned in this journey, if you can bring it back to them and show them that life is beautiful, that's it. Believe it. It's hard with the COVID, but trust me, life is a trail, is fantastic. Be happy every freaking morning when you wake up just because you're alive. That's it.
And
Yeah.
that comes back to the simplicity side of
Yeah.
things. We
Yeah.
get so lost in our train of thought sometimes that we make it worse than that.
We're chasing things that doesn't bring happiness. We're chasing money, then we're chasing the career, we're chasing this and this. You can chase whatever you want, but put the tools that will bring you there if you want to achieve it. And as I said already, if you want to achieve greatness, don't ask for permission, go for it. You have to go straight on. Yeah.
Very true. What are some things that you've learned along the way, along your entrepreneurship journey, along your journey with business? What are some of those things that the biggest lessons and the biggest things for someone starting out? What are some words of advice to them? Because I feel like a lot of people are starting to see the opportunities that they have with the internet and with their reach now online to be able to create something, to be able to leave an impact. And you've done that with multiple companies that you've built. So what are some tips or tricks or advice in general to them?
The most important one is never take yourself too seriously. That's, I've been an entrepreneur for 27 years, and I've been doing shit and doing great stuff, having shit and having great stuff. And what I see, even after 27 years of being an entrepreneur, in the corporate business, there is too many people taking themselves too seriously. They live through their business cards, which is totally insane. I don't have a business card. I don't want a business card. I will never have a business card.
It's very true.
Yeah, so don't take yourself too seriously. Don't be the mirror of what you're doing in your career, but be the mirror of who you really are. And ask yourself the simple question. When somebody comes to you and say, hey, listen, who are you? Who really are you? I know what you're going to answer, but most people will answer me, I'm the chief officer of that company. I'm the accountant. No, I'm asking you who the fuck you are in your freaking life, how your wife is seeing you, how your kid are seeing you. This is the real you. This is the most important thing. Your job is your job. So you have opportunities. If they run well, get organized, get structured on what you're going to do, know where you want to go. You don't know how you're going to do it, but know where you want to go. Because if you don't know the path, there is no GPS for that. That's going to guide you.
Yep.
And then go for it, whatever. And you're going to go, even if you think that A to B is a straight line, it's not going to be a straight line. So be ready for that. Resilience is a factor. And then be yourself. Always say what you have to say, and don't try to please people. It's not necessary. It doesn't bring you anything.
Incredible. Very wise words. Very wise words.
Thank you.
I want to plug all of your socials and everything as well, the website. I think there's a lot of good stuff on the website. I was looking around on there today. What is hold on, plug it first, and I'm going to ask you this. But yeah, what's the website? It's cyborggains.com, right?
Yeah, you have actually, from a general point of view, you can go to jeanfallacara.com, and there is link to cyborggains.com. There is link to cyborgmedia.com, my media company. There is link to Biohackers Magazine, which is another site. Mainly from there, you got everything.
Yep. And of course, check him out on Instagram at Cyborg Gains with a Z on the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I want to ask you this. What is the backpack with the hybrid? Is it like the hybrid system backpack?
Exopack, yeah. So you know what? You remember the movie Spider-Man, where this guy came
Doc
with
Ock,
the
yeah, he did. Yeah.
That's it. And you look at that and you go like, damn, if I had all those arms, I could do sports like crazy and I could multiply my strength and things like that. So we started from there. It's a backpack and you have some sort of bands, elastic bands that you attach to wrist, foot, and it's in the center of gravity of your body in lower back. So when you do a movement, depending of the bands that you're putting there, it increases the intensity of your movement. So you can get more strength, more explosiveness in a short amount of time, just because every single move you do. And one of the guy I train sometimes with goes like, yeah, I don't think that it's so hard to walk with that. And I go like, let's have a run with these things. 100 feet. Dead.
Yeah, I'm always intrigued by the bands, because they're like resistance bands and things of that nature,
Crazy,
which is
huh?
very similar. That stuff's hard, like really hard.
Yeah. Do you remember in the 90s, Bowflex? They were the first coming up in the market, like replacing the weightlifting by some elastics and flex bands and stuff like that. But they were pioneer at that time, because the first research on in the sport industry have shown that it works.
Yeah, the time under tension. It's that's the big part of it, is that you're going through the whole range of motion with tension.
That's it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, Jean, I love asking this question, and I think that your answer is going to be amazing. So no pressure. But what is your definition of success?
Happiness and freedom. It is. Freedom come first, because there's nothing that can buy your freedom. Not the money that you're making, not the job that you have, not your Instagram account or your website or your book or whatsoever. But freedom is the ability to think what you want to think, to say what you want to say, to have the time to do these two, and to have the time to do whatever you want. This is priceless. And this is the only thing that brings happiness. You cannot be happy. You cannot be happy just by, of course, you're going to be happier if you're a millionaire than if you're in the street, but you cannot be fully happy to the extreme level of contentment unless you have the time to do and to think and to say whenever you want. You know, there is a funny sentence that I repeat to everybody, and everybody that is in my friendship network always laugh at that. When people are just like, you shouldn't do that, or you shouldn't say that, or why have you done that? Why did you post that? I have a short answer that I put everywhere. I do what I want.
Period.
Period. That's it. And when I die, if I had to write something, it's going to be, I do what I want.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I think that's very profound. And we get swayed so many different ways, right? And to be able to say, I lived my life the way I wanted to, and I did what I wanted to, and no one told me anything else. Yeah. What else could you want?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. What is the purpose of life? It's this. Of course, we're going to end up paying taxes and being dead. Those are like short things in life. But in the middle, yeah, if you can do whatever you want, it's perfect.
Amazing. Well, Jean, thank you so much for coming on the show today, guys. Everybody go follow him at Cyborg Gains. Go check out all the links that I'm going to put in the description and reach out. Let us know what you thought about the show. Rate on Apple Podcast, push it forward, and go check out No Plan B podcast as well. May or may not be making a guest appearance here soon. I'm putting you on the spot now. Like, we got to make it happen. So
yeah, you do whatever you want.
That's right. We do what we want. So I'm going to do what I want and go on the podcast.
Thank you, Mason. It was awesome pleasure. Thank you, everybody,
guys so much, and have a great rest of your week.